What is up, guys? It's your boy, Shocked Cactus, and today we have an absolute god tier Titan build to showcase within Destiny 2 Season of the Deep. This is what I've been using really everywhere since this season went live. From evergreen activities to the day one dungeon to solo lost sectors, this is phenomenal and scales really well even into endgame content and can easily be adapted for a PvP build as well. If you guys remember the season of Plunder, Arc Grenadier Titan, which was arguably the best build in the game at that point, well, it's not only back but better, it's back but a lot better. Like, this thing is insane right now. So let's get things started actually at a pretty unusual place, and that is an armor mod, because this is really the key of the entire build. This is where all of the synergies start to really begin, and that is the new Elemental Charge leg armor mod. Now this says collecting a Fire Sprite, Ionic Trace, Stasis Shard, or Void Breach, or destroying a Strand Tangle has an escalating chance to give you an armor charge. And multiple copies of this mod, which we do have, will increase the frequency of this effect. So you are more likely to gain armor charge for, in this case, obviously, because we're Arc, collecting Ionic Traces. Now here's the thing. This really stands out on an Arc build because compared to everything else, Ionic Traces are insane for activating this. Guys, they track to you. They will go upside down over walls. They will try their best to reach you. Unlike a Fire Sprite, a Void Breach, where I have to go out of my way to go and get. I have to put myself into danger. If I kill an enemy next to a champion, I'm not getting that Fire Sprite, am I? Because I'm going to get slapped by an unstoppable champion, right? And so all the synergies of my build will cease to function if I'm not able to get, that Fire Sprite. But with Ionic Traces, again, that's just not a thing. You are passively collecting them for playing normally, and so Elemental Charge on an Arc build is, I think, at its most potent. So, moving on from there, let's get into the subclass itself. Now, for the super, I'm going with Thunder Crash. However, in Fists of Havoc, you can totally pick. It just got buffed. Great choice as well. Then I do have Towering Barricade. After that, I am still coping on Seismic Strike for the movement, but honestly, the other two melee options are perfectly good. But really importantly, guys, you need Pulse Grenades. And that's because our first aspect is going to be Touch of Thunder, which improves the lethality of all your different grenades, but specifically for Pulse Grenades, it says creates Ionic Traces periodically as it damages targets and increases in damage over time. So now you can see, wait a minute, we are actually generating Ionic Traces just passively by throwing our grenade, and so we're getting constant armor charges. Yeah, that's just the start of the synergies. Anyways, we have Knockout as our other aspect. Moving on from there, our fragments are going to be Spark of Recharge. Then we've got, importantly, Spark of Shock. So our pulse grenades can now jolt targets. And then we have Spark of Ions. We're defeating those jolted targets with our grenades will generate even more Ionic Traces. And then our last fragment is Spark of Magnitude. So our pulse grenades can last even longer, make more Ionic Traces, and ramp up in damage even more so. And then, guys, moving on from there, the key exotic in this build is actually going to be the Armamentarium. Yes, it's very simplistic, you just get another grenade, but this is absolutely shining within this season, especially since the Heart of Inmost Light got nerfed, right? If you are someone who is not only throwing their grenades but also is spamming your class ability, your melee ability, Heart might be better. But if you're someone, honestly, like me, who just wants to yeet grenades and shoot weapons and turn your brain off and kill everything, I think Armamentarium is the better choice. Now, after that, guys, I did want to highlight the seasonal mods that you should be picking. So we do have authorized mods Arc. Obviously, that's going to come up. Then we have Thunderous Retort, so grants bonus Arc super damage if you cast it while wounded or amplified. hence the Thunder Crash. That's actually a lot of damage in a very short period of time. After that, we have Electric Armor, so you stayed amplified longer. Then we have Amped Up. This is huge, more damage resistance while amplified, right? So obviously increases your survivability. And then we have Lightning Strikes twice. Last time this was in the game was Season of Plunder, it cost 7 energy. Now you get it passively for free, massive increases to your Arc Grenade regen. And then we also have Shock and Awe, Arc Final Blows. While you're amplified, summon a burst of lightning that damages and jolts targets, just even more insanity. Then for our weapons, guys, we start things off with the Pardon Our Dust. Now, this, importantly, is a fantastic disorienting grenade launcher, autoloading plus demolitionist. Really, it's demolitionist as to why this is here. Getting that grenade regen for killing enemies and being able to shoot this thing, throw a grenade, and instantly get another round in the magazine, or I guess tube here, is phenomenal. And we actually also have a primary, the Forgiveness here, with demolitionist again, and we're combining that with Adrenaline Junkie, absolute Grenadier wombo combo right here. And then we're ending things off just with the Thunderlord. Very accessible. A lot of people have this thing, and it's just a very, very good weapon. Now, here's the thing, guys. These are really not set in stone. You can use something like the Traveler's Chosen here. This is a really easy way to get ability energy, and especially like just consuming it and getting your entire grenade back. Fantastic. You can combine that with something like the Forbearance as an ad-clearing arc weapon monster, but just as many things with Demolitionist as you can, and then the most powerful arc weapons you have, just throw them on, and this build will function like a dream. However, moving on from there, let's get into the armor mods. Now, first of all, for the helmet, we do have an Arc Siphon, which is discounted to 1, but obviously Harmonic Siphon would work here as well. We then have the Font of Wisdom for more supers. We have Heavy Ammo Finder, because why not? After that, for our arm, this is where things come together. We do have a firepower because obviously we're chucking so many grenades, why not? But then we are running a grenade kickstart. This is really, really important here, guys. This is what I think takes this build kind of to the next level compared to what it was in Season of Plunder, because normally kickstart mods aren't that amazing. They have a significant downside, which is they consume all of your armor charges, so you start back at 0. However, thanks to our new leg armor mods that were just introduced, where we can get armor charges from Ionic Traces, and the fact that we have so many different fragments and aspects to make Ionic Traces from our grenades, what happens is that you get armor charge obviously incredibly easily. You throw your pulse grenade, you go back to 0, but you get a massive chunk of grenade energy, and then that pulse grenade that you just threw will produce like 4 or 5 Ionic Traces, to which you will get armor charge ×2 or ×3 almost guaranteed. So it doesn't matter that you are completely going back to 0 armor charge when the grenade you threw will easily get your armor charge back. Again, you don't have to go out of your way, you don't have to do anything. You chuck your grenade, as long as you hit enemies, those Ionic Traces will just come to you passively and get you armor charged again. It is simply an insane gameplay loop, and it lets you, especially with 2 grenades provided by Armamentarium, just really take Kickstart into the next level and be getting massive, massive chunks of grenade energy for every single time you throw them. However, guys, after that, in terms of the chest piece, we have the trifecta of different resistances. Obviously, just adapt this depending on what you're doing. And then we already went over the legs, but in terms of the mark, first of all, we have a distribution for more ability energy. We have a Reaper to spawn an Orb of Power for using our class ability. And of course, we have a Bomber. Now, you'll notice, guys, we are not running Time Dilation. And that's because, our legs are just 2 elemental charge. We are actually not running any surges. Now, if you are running a little bit of a different mod here, obviously putting on an Arc Surge is great, and if you only want to run 1 elemental charge, you're going to get a little bit less synergy with Kickstart, but then you can fit in 2 surges. Obviously, increasing your damage output is great, and then, switch one of these to a time dilation. But if you want to go absolutely all in on grenades, again, you're not really caring about these arc surges too much, right? You are really caring about just yeeting out your pulse grenades as much as possible. Honestly, they're pretty much more effective than what most of your weapons can do. So yeah, you have a slight decrease in weapon damage output, but you have a massive increase in the power of your grenades. Again, it's an easy swap to just take one of these off and put on some surges, so that's really up to you, and you can adapt it depending on what activity you're actually doing. Now, in terms of the stats you should prioritize, I would recommend 100 Discipline, obviously for the grenade regen, but also 100 Resilience, simply because we are using certain armor mods that give us, benefits for spamming our class ability, right? After that, guys, it's really up to you. I do have some recovery for survivability. Intellect is a bit low, but that's helped significantly by Font of Wisdom, if you can fit that on. So, really, there it is, guys. Not only do I think this is one of the best builds in the entire season, but it's by far the easiest one to use. There is no tricks to this. There's no shenanigans. You don't have to remember to do stuff. You just throw grenades, and as a result of throwing grenades, you get more grenades. And then you throw more grenades and get even more. It just is throw grenades, watch stuff die. It is that simple. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.